All right, guys, awesome news. Just released was a Federal Reserve paper on their plans and ideas and criticisms and questions about issuing a central bank digital currency, and this is key. They have asked for feedback from the American public. There's actually a section you can click on to submit your comments. So in this video, I'm going to go over number one, what were some of the key things talked about in this paper, and number two, the feedback that I hope we will all be giving. Ready? Let's dive in. Central bank digital currencies are being researched and trialed all around the world right now, with China being kind of furthest ahead in their trials of a CBDC, and the Federal Reserve seeming like they want to be kind of last with actually issuing or rolling out a CBDC. So first, what is a CBDC? It's a central bank digital currency. Money's already digital, so what's the difference between the digital dollar today and an actual CBDC? The difference is bypassing the banking system. When you go buy or sell things, money comes in and out of your account with a bank, and it goes into other people's accounts with a bank. Where does the bank keep all their money? They keep their money at the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank. The central bank is the bank for banks. The government also keeps its money at the Federal Reserve in the Treasury General account. And so there are a few institutions, relatively few, who have an account directly with the Federal Reserve. A central bank digital currency opens the floodgates and allows individuals and corporations to have their own accounts held directly at the central bank, which bypasses the banking system. This does a couple of things. Number one, it allows scalpel-like fine-tuning of the economy. They can adjust monetary policy and potentially in the future even fiscal policy in real time. They can assign new dollars to people's accounts that can only be used for specific things or that are blocked from being used on specific things. Like in China right now, if you use the CBDC there, you cannot use it to buy Bitcoin or gold, and you couldn't use it to buy Bitcoin even before they had outlawed Bitcoin. So they are able to set very specific parameters on how the money is to be used that's assigned into those accounts. Now, technically, banks have this power already. If you make a transaction that they consider fraudulent, which, it would probably be fraudulent in this case, they can pull that transaction back. They can stop it from happening. If you run a business, that business is engaged in the marijuana business or ammunition or firearms or gold and silver, a lot of businesses that deal in these types of industries, they're getting their business accounts shut down from banks who do not want their don't want their clients participating in these industries. And so banks already have this power, but it's better to have 100 tyrants competing for power than one tyrant who has it all. And bypassing the banking system, allowing individuals and corporations to have accounts directly with one entity that is controlled by the government, gives a greater degree of power assigned to a select few to cause money to flow into certain areas of the economy or to stop money from flowing into certain areas of the economy. Another thing this would do, it would allow an advancement of the system, of the dollar system, especially cross-border payments. This is one of the reasons why El Salvador just adopted Bitcoin as legal tender there, because the dollar-based monetary system is old, archaic, and slow. And so researching CBDCs right now, they're coming up with ideas and methods of how this would bring the dollar system into the future in terms of speed of transactions and security and cost of transactions. Now, what are the concerns that the Federal Reserve brought up about this? Number one, it would suck money out of the banking system. And right now they're in the business of supporting the banking system. I think that as we move forward into the next crash and the fallout of that next crash, I think the banking system will be largely nationalized here. It's happened time and time and time again throughout history, different cultures, different countries, different times. It happens over and over again because the banking system eventually cannot support the weight of the government burden, the debt and the monetization of that debt and the inflationary monetary policy. Banks can't survive. And so we'll see a nationalization of the banking system, which will allow then bypass that completely. You don't have to worry about the profitability of the individual banks by moving primarily to a CBDC because you've nationalized it and they're no longer private enterprises. And so that is something that will probably be a catalyst in rolling out a CBDC nationwide. Now, the other thing that the Federal Reserve highlighted here is that stable coins right now are being issued by private companies that are competing for the future space of the CBDC. Companies are issuing stable coins, which is basically a cryptocurrency, one for one backed up by dollars or things like treasuries. Now, as a side note, this is something that is going to become somewhat of a Trojan horse for supporting the dollar, supporting treasuries, limiting interest rates going up, and then will become a backdoor into CBDCs because all of the money, eventually they're going to regulate out of existence any stable coin that is not fully backed by dollars and treasuries. That means all of the transactions, all the money held in stable coins, really, when you trace that back, it's really being held in dollars and treasuries. All that money, trillions of dollars, going to buy treasuries, keeping a lid on interest rates. So the entire stablecoin market will end up being something that supports fiat, ironically, by keeping rates low, keeping demand for the dollar. Any that do not operate that way will be illegal. They'll be regulated out of existence. And depending on how things go, then they might just do a full swap and say, okay, well, now you have to use a CBDC. And once they've built the system where abide by our rules or you'll get shut down, everybody then abides by the rules. And then now they have control over the system. And then if they want, they can just do a full swap with the CBDC in the future. So what to do, and this is where you come in. The Federal Reserve is asking for our feedback. They're literally opening up for 120 days comments about the future of the financial system in America and around the world, and they're asking for public opinion on this. Crucially, because the Federal Reserve has stated they don't want to move forward with this without legislation from Congress. They want Congress to specifically authorize and command the Fed to move forward with this if they do move forward with this. And so they're collecting public feedback right now. This is a crucial time to go in there and start listing our feedback and say, absolutely do not do this. The data collection alone is a tyrant's wet dream, not to mention the control that you have over every single Americans and corporations' transactions, allowing them to do business or not. It is unprecedented the amount of control that will be given to any entity that is able to issue and control America's central bank digital currency. It is a power that we do not want to exist, regardless of whether it ends up being used for good or not. The capacity for it to be used for evil is too great. And this is a very good opportunity to go submit our feedback and say, absolutely, please, never, ever, ever, this is a bad idea. We do not want this. In the description below, I have linked both the post from the Federal Reserve that gives you a link to the full 35-page PDF paper on this, and on that page, it includes the link for submitting your feedback, your comments, asking them to not move forward with a CBDC. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.